You and all your pretty little friends up in the hills where the party never ends. Your schemes and your dreams when you're whole and you're broken. I'm telling all about it in my words unspoken.
Welcome to Words Unspoken, the Hills podcast, paying tribute to the reality show that aired on MTV from 2006 to 2010.
We are two Southern sisters rewatching The Hills in 2016 and chatting about it weekly for your entertainment.
My name is Susan, and I'm a 30-something photographer who hates most reality shows but loves The Hills. I have been rewatching the show for a few months.
My name is Jem. I'm a professional in my 30s who hasn't seen the show since it originally aired, so I'm really looking forward to reliving the magic again 10 years later.
We watched the first few seasons of the show in real time when we were younger versions of ourselves, and we are so excited to revisit every episode from our new points of view. Hey, y'all!
Hey, y'all!
We're back for Season 2. We're so excited to talk about Season 2. We're going to have so many new characters, new faces. We won't see a lot of old faces, which is fine in some cases and not in others. Today we will be discussing Episode 1 of Season 2, Out with the Old...
What could the rest of that be, Susan?
Out with the old, in with the Spencer.
Can we just skip right to that? I was blindsided by the mention of Spencer in the, previously on or whatever my little recap was at the beginning. Did not know Spencer entered the scene so abruptly. Did not remember that. Had no recollection. There were little bits and pieces that I could remember, like the Mexican restaurant thing, but had no memory of this is how Spencer started out. I thought we were going to get to see Heidi and Spencer meet for the first time and go a-courtin'. And no, it's already happening. There's all this water under the bridge that we have to catch up with. So for the record, world, I do not remember that Spencer was already a thing when Season 2 began.
I know, because basically what they're doing in the beginning is they're recapping last season and then talking about what happened during the summer. So we find out that Adrena got a job with Epic Records. She left Smashbox. Heidi got a promotion at Bolt House, so now she's going to be working the Door at Area, the new local nightclub. By the way, in that little clip they showed, it was hilarious because she said to Lauren, "Remember when I was so jealous of your headset?" And giggling about it, I was like, "You were jealous of a headset?" Okay.
Oh, Heidi, and your misplaced priorities.
Yes, absolutely. And then this is also when we find out, of course, that Spencer is Heidi's boyfriend, which is what they call him.
What?
But that Spencer was also seeing Adrena. And then Lauren announces that things went from bad to worse with Jason, and finally we broke up. And that's where the opening recap ends.
Susan, can I just say that this scene would have been a lot more valuable to me if they had included that deleted footage that we got to see in the special. For those of you who didn't watch the 10th anniversary special on MTV, they showed the real footage from the scene, and I know that's breaking from our normal plan of not talking about behind the scenes, but since it was on the special, I think we can talk about it.
I think we can talk about stuff behind the scenes. It's more that we don't want to talk about, oh, we know this is fake, but it doesn't have any background on it. If we have the background and we know it, I think it's fine to talk about it, especially because hopefully everyone has seen the special, and if not, I know that could be a little spoily to say that, but you know what? It's been about a month since it came out, so I think it's fine.
And it's been 10 years since this episode aired, so I think we're okay. But the B-roll that they showed in the special from this scene was so raw, so emotional, just kind of real, and then this just totally didn't do it justice. We should have been a lot sadder.
Yeah, and it was interesting because of that special, you saw it completely different because the way they portrayed in the show, which is basically where Lauren's bringing back Jason's stuff, she seems like she's crying and upset about the relationship, and it's not necessarily true that she's not upset about the end of it, but knowing what we know from the special is the fact that she was very upset because he was high.
It was all about his substance abuse problem,
right.
And that's been addressed in this episode, so it really, really skews what's happening. So I do like that we got to see that footage, and if you haven't watched the MTV special, I encourage you to check it out. It won't take much time out of your life. It's not going to change your life dramatically, but you should go watch it because it was actually really good.
It was so good, and it is on Hulu now.
Oh, really?
Yes. And Jem, I know we're both excited because we were finally able to watch The Hills on Hulu after you having to suffer through MTV.com, and I was watching on DVDs, which, wasn't that much of a hardship, but it is much easier just to pick up your iPad and watch it that way.
I watched it in the glory of my, 55-inch TV. It's not that glorious, but I watched it on my TV like a normal person.
Yeah, so I feel like this scene with Jason is definitely super awkward. He acts like he doesn't really care, and he keeps laughing about stuff, and then Lauren starts crying, and that's really sad. But once again, because of the special, we know she's crying because he's high, and that makes more sense that he's kind of laughing about it, as he probably doesn't even know what's going on. And he says, "Will you still be my buddy?" What?
No, Jason.
Come on, Jason. Welcome to the real world. He was just saying that so he could say something. I'm sure he didn't really mean it. He was just trying to make himself feel better. He probably meant a different kind of buddy, if you know what I mean.
I don't think that Jason meant anything by anything in the scene because he was not in his right mind. There was stuff going on for him that day, and he was just saying words. He was just saying English words.
I just thought it was still a really sad scene. I felt bad for Lauren. She was obviously upset. I'm sure she didn't even want to film this scene. I'm sure she didn't want to see him again. And they probably, encouraged her to do it, shall we say. So that could not have been very fun.
She just seemed so exhausted and over it.
And we don't really know, how much time has passed. We know they broke up 2 weeks after the last season concluded. So I don't know if there's been like 2 or 3 months in between. Probably been a significant amount of time. So that might have made it even more awkward. If it's been a few months, that's a long time. But Jason was just glad to have his golf clubs back that she gave him, by the way. Anyway.
You know what? Take those golf clubs back, Lauren. He doesn't deserve them.
As Lauren was pulling away and merged into traffic, they panned back and all you could see was Jason surrounded by trash bags. I thought that was a very apt metaphor, Jem.
It really was. It meant much bigger things. It was just Jason's life at the time. Bless him.
So then we head to Bolt House and we get our first season 2 viewing of our fave, Brent Bolthouse, who is at maximum boredness. They're having a meeting discussing Area's opening, and he's like, there's so much pressure, we're under so much stress. And everything I just said in that voice was not how he said it, because he said it in a monotone. He was bored. He did not sound stressed. Either Brent Bolthouse handles stress very well, or he's bored all the time, or he's taking Xanax.
He said, "We're way behind." Susan, would you like to hear how I would say I was behind on something that I was way behind on?
Sure, Jem.
Susan, we're way behind!
OMG! So behind!
Yeah. Brent in his behindness and was all like, "Heidi, good luck." Something about "may the gods be with you" or some like boredly dramatic encouragement phrase. I might have just made that up.
He said, "Heidi, don't bug me. I'm too busy." And then we get our first glimpse of Audrina's new workplace, Epic Records.
Her reception game has become stronger. She's at a really cool company. I'm actually a little jealous of this internship.
I'm not sure she's a receptionist anymore, though.
Oh, I felt that she was sitting at a front desk like the olden days at Q.
I can't remember. So she calls Heidi at Bolthouse, and we see Heidi at Bolthouse ignoring Audrina's phone call. She clicks nope.
I love my technology alerts. Heidi's flip phone has upgraded just a little bit to the ones that had the ringtone where it sounded like really legit. It wasn't just like, it was an actual song. And that is your technology update for this episode.
Thanks, Jem. That was super interesting.
You're very welcome.
So even though we heard about it in the opening recap, we get the first taste of what's to come and the fact that clearly Heidi and Audrina really are fighting over Spencer. Anyway, I know, right? Yuck. We'll talk about Spencer more in a moment. So we head to Teen Vogue. Lauren and Whitney are catching up on their summers, talking about Paris, talking about breaking up with Jason.
Could this scene be any more miserable and awkward?
No. So awkward because Whitney probably can't come out and say, like, super gush about her summer, talk about how much fun she had when she knows Lauren gave it up for a boy that she broke up with, and Whitney keeps giggling in a real nervous manner. It's just so awkward. I feel so bad for both of them.
They were probably dreading it. Even if they had talked about it in real life, they were probably dreading this scene just because it's so painful for like 5 reasons.
Oh, for sure. Lauren says she hasn't even talked to Lisa since the Paris thing, which is like,
So I feel like I hit the Hills lottery in this episode, Susan, because within the first few minutes, I got to see Brent Bolthouse and Lisa Love.
So then something tragic happens, Jim.
What tragedy happened?
Whitney gets a phone call saying that Lisa Love wants to see them in her office.
But it's not Blaine.
It's not Blaine!
Why isn't it Blaine? And it was a name that started with a B, so I wanted it to be Blaine. And I was like, did she say Blaine? Did she say Blaine? But she did not say Blaine.
No, it was Brendan or Brandon. I think we've met him before. But anyway, that leads me to believe that I was right when I think I told you off air that was Blaine's last episode. I don't think he comes back.
My heart is broken. Our podcast is canceled. Goodbye, Susan. Goodbye.
Goodbye, Jim.
Bye,
Just
y'all.
kidding.
Bye, y'all.
So Whitney and Lauren meet with Lisa in their office, and Lisa's asking about school and their summers. And she says dramatically, Lauren will always be known as the girl who didn't go to Paris. And she's right. She still is known for that today.
I mean, just look at Tumblr any old day of the week. It's still right there. I enjoy how Lisa Love's dramatic statements are always very understated in their tone, but they carry so much weight and so much meaning. And she just kind of rolls these things out as if she's reciting facts, which she is. But she's saying some of the most profound quotes ever spoken on the Hills and just talks like she's discussing the weather. I love that about her.
When she gives Lauren that piercing look and says,
"How'd that go for you?" or something like that.
"Did that work out for you?" And I love the tone she says it in, because it's totally like she already knows they broke up, or she knows that wasn't going to work out, because she is just so judgy and so cold. But I do not blame her one bit, because in real life she never would have even been invited back to do another internship, because that is such a huge slap in the face that she didn't go to Paris. She would never have come back if she wasn't on a TV show. For
True
sure.
that. It would have been the end of her Teen Vogue career in real life.
And Lauren doesn't even say anything. I think it's because if she was to open her mouth, she would have burst out into tears. You could tell she was so embarrassed and humiliated. And of course, she's still upset about her breakup too. So it's like, oh, that's so embarrassing though. I was wincing for her, even though it was her fault, of course.
She's definitely on the verge of tears in that whole scene.
Definitely. So we head back to the Hillside Villas, and this is one of those scenes that is so real to me, like so much realness. I just love these scenes. She's talking to Heidi about Jason and what a terrible day it was having to relive all this stuff about Paris and Jason. And she says, "We broke up because I was tired of crying every day, and now I'm crying because he isn't here to make me stop. He was my best friend." And Heidi comes in with some of her words of wisdom that I love so much. This is my favorite thing that she has ever said to Lauren and ever will say. She says, "The best part of Jason was you."
So true.
Can we get snaps for that?
You know what? Newsflash, Lauren Conrad of 2007. Guess what? Your best friend doesn't make you cry every day. The end.
Yeah, Jason was not her best friend.
He was her worst enemy, in a way.
They fought way too much.
And I'm sure she was carrying far too much of the load in the relationship in general by the codependency and taking care of him and dealing with his issues and
his addictions. Yeah, absolutely.
Yeah, I mean, and that's, that's great that she was there for him, but that's a lot when you're that age to handle.
Heidi's like, "So many guys are asking about you," which is, it's something you say to your best friend, but I'm like, she really doesn't care about that right now. And then
no, that doesn't make it any better in the moment.
No.
And then Lauren's like, I hate being single. I'm not good at it.
Jim, that confused me a little, because I feel like she has been single a lot.
Agreed.
Really, I mean, of course, who knows what happened off camera, but really the only person we've ever seen her date since she was, I guess it was when she was a junior in high school or a senior on Laguna Beach, whatever it was, she's only really dated Jason, because of course the whole Steven thing, she never dated him. She just was like pining after him. So I was like, I think you've been single a lot.
Well, then she just knows that she hates it.
Yeah, that's true. She's probably like, I don't want to be single again for a long period of time.
Better to be single than to be with Jay Wall.
This is so true. Okay, Jim, buckle up your seatbelt. Come on, you ready? You ready for this?
Here we go. This is it.
We enter to the first scene with Spencer Pratt.
Do you hear that noise? That's the sound of the Spencer Pratt locomotive chugging down the tracks into our lives and taking over every conversation until we finish the podcast in our 90s.
And shockingly, I'm more excited than I thought I would be. When we started this podcast, I was dreading having to talk about him, and now I'm super excited, especially with a 2016 viewpoint.
When he starts schmoozing the valet the minute they get to the restaurant, it's like Spencer's entire future, his entire personality, it's all rolled into that 1 second where he's like, I'm just leaving the keys and this is the best restaurant ever. I am so popular. Everything's great and prepare yourself for the greatest. That was not Brent Bolthouse.
His accent is so annoying, but do you notice he has different ways of saying things depending on what he's doing, whether he's bragging, whether he's giving the most fake compliments ever, or whether he's actually being just talking, you know?
Spencer's the epitome of the word smarmy, Susan.
I was thinking of another word, but I wasn't sure if I could say it and we could keep our good rating, so I won't say it.
We don't have an explicit
It starts with a D.
label.
Jen.
We don't have an explicit label on our podcast, and our mother subscribes to this, so be nice.
Yeah, the fact that our mother subscribes to it is really the only thing that keeps me from adding an explicit tag. So this is our first glimpse of another character in the Hills, and that is Don Antonio Restaurant, which we will see many times.
That was the only, remember I said earlier, the Don Antonio thing, it was like burned in my brain.
Yes.
I remembered that, and I didn't even remember how Spencer, entered the world. So it's kind of funny. Don Antonio's made that mark, and hey, I wonder if it's still there, A, and B, if it was really good, or if he just made it up because he knew the people there, C.
He has steak named after him, Jem, so he must be a super popular person.
Can we give big ups to Heidi's outfit in the scene? Because it actually looked really great.
I did not even notice.
She had like a black bustier, and she looked really pretty, and we'll discuss this more later. Then they get into the Audrina hatred, Susan.
Oh my gosh. Spencer is egging Heidi on so hard.
100%.
He is just trying to stir up the drama. He is enjoying every minute of it. Ugh.
And Heidi's like, everybody I work with hates Audrina because they say that Spencer's been hanging out with Audrina. So, it always helps when you're trying to confront someone or ask someone a question about something they've done and speak about everything as if it's happening to other people, but you're looking them in the eye.
Right. And Spencer says, there are some people in LA who are like, woo-woo, and twirls the finger around his head and the crazy sign, the universal sign for crazy. I'm like, you may want to redirect that back on you. He is so classic. He's just a classic, horrible, horrible guy.
Spencer, look into your Patron margarita and look at your own reflection. You're the crazy one.
So annoying, but very entertaining, I will say.
I'm really, 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 really excited about what comes next.
They head back to Spencer's, and as they're walking in his apartment, you see that he got her 2 roses.
Flowers!
I knew you were excited for that, Jem.
Street florists of LA.
Spencer's like, are you staying over? Yeah! So then we head back to the Hillside Villas. Heidi walks in the next morning.
In last night's clothes.
Absolutely. She's doing her little walk of shame.
No judgies, Heidi.
Yes, I was about to say, Jem and Susan for social justice, we do not judge anyone for their one-night stands. Oh, wait, hold on.
Spencer wouldn't be a one-night stand.
We do not judge anyone for their walk of shames.
I judge if you spend the night with Spencer Pratt, though. That's where I draw the line.
Okay, that's true.
But, Heidi, you're totally okay for coming in last night's clothes. Jem and Susan for Social Justice 2016 doesn't slut shame. You just do you and do what you need to do. Just don't do it with Spencer Pratt.
Absolutely. And so Heidi starts telling Lauren all about Spencer, and, he's getting so affectionate.
And Lauren says, really? And gives the most skeptical face you've ever seen, wearing her heart on her sleeve 100% in this scene, which is hilarious.
She said he used to keep talking to girls, but now, instead of talking to girls, he hides behind Heidi, and oh my gosh, it's so cute. Such a cute way. And Lauren says, Spencer loves you, ha ha ha. And it's just like, whatever.
Hey, Susan.
Yes.
You know how I know my husband loves me?
When he hides behind you?
He hides behind me.
Ironically, he actually does that.
Actually, he does that in real life, but if you were him, you would too.
Yes, this is true. So then we head to Pinkberry, where, oh my God, Audrina and Spencer are having a dated Pinkberry.
It's so funny. Pinkberry was so new and fashionable in these days. This was like a hit destination for his career.
Yes, Pinkberry was the place to go if you were cool back then.
And now there's a yogurt spot on every corner.
Which is amazing.
Yeah, I want to go to one right now.
Oh, I do too. Bye, y'all.
Bye, y'all.
Wow, it's like we don't want to actually do the podcast tonight as many times as we've tried to dip out. But we love you, so we'll keep going. Anyway, Spencer continues to fan those flames like the wonderful person he is.
Is it not the greatest moment when Spencer says, have you ever heard of a place called Don Antonio?
Yes. I may have shrieked out loud and laughed so hard. It was so funny because it's so... Okay, I would like to call a little timeout from our rule.
Everyone, Susan just made the timeout signal.
I did.
FYI.
Oh my gosh. Spencer is such a fake person. And not just fake in that way that we're not supposed to talk about it being fake as in the show, but like he's still a fake person like in life. He's so insincere. Every compliment he's giving Audrina sounds completely ridiculous coming out of his mouth. You can tell he doesn't mean a word of it. He's just like playing this role for the camera because he's deliberately trying to set up this non-existent situation.
He's like every boy you meet when you're 19 and 20 years old, and they're kind of like fun, but you sort of see through your BS. But then when you see someone like this when you're our age that we are now, you're just like, this is total crap. It's so obvious. And he's just spewing flatteries and insincerities.
Which is bad enough, like when anyone does that in real life. But once again, another time out. You can tell he's also just doing it for the show, for the drama of being, he was probably anticipating this going on the whole season, the three of them, all of this stuff. So it will be interesting to see what does happen. So then we head to Area Nightclub with all the celebs walking in. Did you pick anyone out in particular besides David Blaine?
I knew you were going to ask me, and I actually did run it back. Thank God for Hulu and the ease of my remote. But I could not figure out who these two girls were. They looked so familiar, but I did spot Dave Navarro.
Dave Navarro. Why did I was like, David Blaine. I'm like, no, I knew that wasn't right, but I could not think of who it was.
Magicians, rock stars, they're all the same. But yeah, I could not pinpoint the two blonde ladies on the step and repeat. It was kind of like they were on the tip of my tongue, but after I ran it back twice, I was like, all right, we're going to move on, and I hope Susan knew who they were.
Yeah, they all look super familiar. I did not run it back because I was too lazy, but...
And is this her first appearance with Jen Bunny, or was she on Laguna Beach?
Jen Bunny was on Laguna Beach, but this is her first appearance in the Hills, sadly. I would like to go on record right now and say that Jen Bunny is actually one of my least favorite characters on the Hills.
Who's a bigger pot stirrer, Jen Bunny or Spencer Pratt?
I mean, Spencer is because he's on there longer, but Jen Bunny also, I think Jen Bunny is less intentioned sometimes because this is a horrible thing to say. It truly is, but Jen Bunny is really dumb.
Yeah, well, we see that when she's talking about 6 o'clock and Lauren's, where's 6 o'clock? And Lauren looks like the dumb one, and then all of a sudden Jen's like, I mean 11.
I know, because at first I'm like, Lauren, don't you know what a watch is?
Oh, can I need a little sidebar here since we've run out of timeouts. When they're pointing out, oh, that's a really cute boy, look over here, and it's Brody Jenner. I had to work really hard to separate my 2007-2008 love for Brody Jenner from my 2016 Snapchat viewings of Brody Jenner. Susan, I loved
world, Jim.
I loved him. Do you remember how much I loved him?
Oh, we both loved him so much. He was our favorite. I
would publish on my MySpace my, top 5 guys or whatever, and it was always, Adam Brody from the OC, Seth Cohen, Gavin DeGraw, who we've discussed before, and Brody Jenner always made the list. I loved him so much. I had a little tugging at my heart when they showed him through the club, in the haze and the darkness of the club. I was just like, oh my gosh, he was so cute. So much better than all the other boys on the show.
What I love the most about that was they never identified him. He wasn't even in this episode. And I just love they gave you foreshadowing. I was very clever, Hills.
It was. And I kept waiting for them to meet, and they never did. And I was just like, ooh, how are they going to meet? So at least I get to see them meet as opposed to Spencer and Heidi. Will never see that footage in our lifetime.
Oh, please. They've already met. But anyway, way, Brent was being interviewed outside. Heidi's on the list, and Spencer rolls up with Audrina. And the claws come out. Heidi is furious. She vents to her coworker, Kristen. I think we saw her last season, but she actually gets a name this season.
And she's applying excessive lip gloss as she dispenses advice to Heidi.
Horrible advice to Heidi, by the way.
Then it's total nonsense.
Girls are sometimes worse than guys, she says. Oh my God. You don't even know, Kristen, that Spencer is manipulating this whole situation. Audrina is an innocent party, kind of.
That was a broad statement anyway, Kristen.
That's ridiculous. What does that even mean? She says, everything she says in this episode is pretty terrible, so
it's nonsense.
I do not like her advice.
I love how Spencer blatantly shows up with Audrina at the door in front of Heidi. Heidi doesn't talk to Audrina. She talks to Spencer.
Spencer continues to fan the flames by just coming up and acting like everything's normal with Heidi. And then they go inside. Heidi goes inside and tells Lauren about the drama, and they're all like, oh my gosh. And then Spencer is hiding behind Audrina. Not so cute now, is it, Heidi?
He was hiding behind Audrina.
Yep. I guess that means he's finally being more affectionate with her, too.
It means he's in love.
Oh my God, it must be true love.
2 minutes later, Spencer is in a heated discussion with Heidi, swearing upon his mother's life multiple times that he didn't arrive with Audrina, which is ridiculous because he did and Heidi saw it.
And he's the one who said at Pinkberry that they should go together.
Oh, yeah. So this whole situation's totally manipulated by him, which leads us to the greatest quote of the episode, Susan. Spencer says, "We've got beef in the streets."
Oh, Spencer, which is what he wanted. He wanted the drama. He wanted
the beef in the streets.
He wanted the beef in the streets. I love how, and then they start arguing. Heidi and Spencer are arguing and fighting, and Lauren and Jen are kicked back on their area sofas, enjoying the show, looking every which way, gossiping. It is so funny. I love watching them be like, oh my God. It was the best night ever for them.
Lauren is like, thank God I'm not in this club with Jason having a meltdown, and I'm so glad that all this crap is happening to somebody else.
Absolutely. Then Audrina comes up and Spencer puts his arm around her and she hugs him like right in front of Heidi. Ugh. And she storms off and she's like, my life sucks right now. And she goes outside and like bashes Audrina to her coworkers, and they all give her terrible advice again. Then we head back to Bolt House the next day, and Heidi fills Elodie in on all the drama, and she said, I was falling for Spencer, but I just don't know. And then she's like, I don't feel well. I've been dizzy and nauseous, so I'm going home.
AKA, I'm really upset that my boyfriend is talking to somebody else, and I'm going to pretend something really major is happening in my life. So I'm going to throw out these symptoms from my favorite soap opera and take a turn for the dramatic in this episode to make it all about me. But I'm really just upset that a boy is being mean to me.
Yep. So then we head to Epic Records and we meet Audrina's coworker, and Audrina proceeds to say like an alarming number of times. Even though I know I'm one to talk, it bothers me when I listen to the podcast and hear how many times I say like. I apologize. But it drove me crazy. Audrina says, I don't have any interest in dating Spencer. He's a total pig. I don't even like him. He's so blah. So it shows at least she has some sense about it. I think that night might have been her wake-up call where she was like, oh, he's totally using me. I'm sure she did have an interest in dating him, though. She just is covering up, you know.
Sure. She just knows she's not going to win this battle. And she's like, Spencer is so piggish, which is actually a very true statement.
Oh, it's absolutely. I mean, today. It's awful.
Spencer, don't angrily tweet us, please.
Especially since technically Audrina and Heidi are supposed to be friends. In fact, they were better friends than Audrina and Lauren were because they met each other first and all this. So I'm like, oh, this is a terrible thing.
How quickly they fell apart when Spencer entered the picture.
Then we see Heidi dramatically driving in her car, and she stops at the pharmacy. Jem, what do you think she's doing at the pharmacy?
I don't know, but there's a super mellow rendition of Girls Just Want to Have Fun playing sadly in the background.
So dramatic. Then we go back to the Hillside Villas. Heidi goes straight to her room. Lauren looks startled as she does her laundry. Heidi walks into the bathroom, leaves the door open, as one does when they go into the bathroom, pulls something from the bag and holds it up just long enough for the cameras to catch that it's a pregnancy test.
She's pregnant with twins. Their names are Spencer and Spencer.
Spencer and Jordan, you mean?
Oh,
yeah.
Plot twist. The kids belong to Jordan.
Okay, what do we think about this scene, Jim?
This scene it is what it is. It's what's going to turn out to be like a classic Heidi and Spencer moment of just doing that one extra ridiculous thing and whatever. I don't remember what happens, but it did give me that vibe at the end of the episode where I legit was like, I love this season opener. This is Hills perfection. There was everything in this episode you could ever want. We saw all of our people, including Whitney, even though her appearance was kind of low-key. I got to see Lisa Love in Brett Bolthouse. There was drama in the club. Spencer entered the picture. He took 2 different girls to the same restaurant.
Allegedly. We actually didn't see him go with Audrina.
But we know he did.
Oh.
And also, side note, Heidi's look in this season opener is so mature compared to season 1. Like, her hair looks amazing. Her makeup is perfect. Her clothes are very rock and roll and grown up. I love everything about her new look in this episode, despite her actual shenanigans. I have to say she looked pretty amazing and very grown up compared to the previous season when she was tottering around in her heels and jeans and t-shirts.
I loved this season opener. I thought it was so good. I loved the drama way more than I thought I would.
Ditto.
It was just awesome. I am actually so excited to see all of Spencer's shenanigans and his manufactured drama. I am really looking forward to it. So I thought this was an A++ season opener, and I'm super excited to talk about season 2. Jem, I would like to read you a selection from my Us Weekly 10th anniversary special edition.
Can't wait. Are you going to do like a dramatic reenactment of the quotes, or are you just going to read it straight up?
I don't have a good Spencer voice yet, but let me try. This is Spencer Pratt.
In 2016.
Yes, this is from 2016. Brody and I found out they were filming an area, and we got the table next to them. The thing with Audrina was a complete fabrication. Producers just had us walk in together. I had picked up that she and Heidi weren't on the best terms. And Heidi and I had already gotten together and broken up the summer before that. So I was like, okay, I'll roll up over there.
Oh my gosh.
Okay, let's talk about that before we move on to the next part.
There are like 50 things wrong with that quote.
The thing with Audrina was a complete fabrication. Yes, that you fabricated because we saw it on camera that you were the one who was egging her on. Producers just had us walk in together. No, you told her you were going to area together. She and Heidi weren't on the best terms because of you. And this was the interesting thing, that they had gotten together and broken up the summer before that, which is the first time I ever read that anywhere. Because so was that before Jordan?
I mean, wouldn't it have to be during? Yeah, it would have to be before Jordan. And then
because she was in San Francisco and they moved to LA together after spending the summer in Laguna Beach.
And remember how Heidi and Jordan celebrated some big 6-month anniversary, and then a month later she's like, I don't remember how long we've been together. So maybe she was doing some editing of her calendar to make it look like she wasn't dating 2 guys at once. I mean, no judgies there either, ladies. No judgies.
Unless you're exclusive.
You date 2 boys if you want to.
Unless you're exclusive and the other one doesn't know it.
Right.
No cheating.
Or you can be like Spencer and be openly dating someone and then openly show up with a second girl in front of the first girl.
Yeah, exactly.
I mean, there was no shadiness there. He did it right in front of her. I can give him that.
Yeah, I guess. Okay, then Audrina said, and I'm not going to use voices because I didn't like that. The producers were using me to try to start drama with Heidi and Spencer. Heidi really egged it on. It made me lose respect.
What?
Okay.
I'm going to blame this one on Spencer.
I don't think Heidi egged anything on as much as Spencer did. Yeah, she kind of blew it up and made it more dramatic, but I mean, I think she did have a legitimate complaint.
What did Audrina say about Heidi's feelings for Spencer? She was like, she's madly in love with this guy, or some phrase describing Heidi's feelings. I thought it was funny. Head over heels, or something that I can't imagine being for Spencer.
Ridiculous. But anyway, that is a 2016 perspective on this episode, so I thought everyone would enjoy that.
Thanks for sharing, Susan.
Does this episode of The Hills pass the Bechdel test? Jem, it actually does pass the Bechdel test. Shockingly enough. Yes, indeed. For like 2 seconds. When Whitney and Lauren were discussing Paris for 1 second before they talked about Jason. We'll just say they passed.
Let's just give it a check mark and move on.
Okay.
Winners of the week. Susan, I'll give you one guess as to who my winner of the week was. Just guess.
Spencer.
No, the florists of the streets of LA.
Gosh. I can't even, Jim. I can't
Yes, you can. Yes, you can.
I can't. My winner of the week was Whitney because she had an awesome summer in Paris and no one else deserved it.
That is a fact.
Jim.
And Susan's
Funniest
moments. Okay, Jem, what was your funniest moment of the week?
My favorite funny part was when Spencer is asking Audrina to go to Don Antonio's and describing it as if he's never taken anyone there before. And he said, they even have Patron margaritas, so we're going to cruise on down.
Oh, Spencer.
But he said it in Spencer voice, which is way better, where he's like, Patron margaritas, we're going to cruise on down.
I know, I wish I could do the Spencer voice. It's so awesome. I'm going to have to practice it this week, Jem, and maybe by next week I will have it down.
Maybe we should go to some vocal and acting coaches and watch some film and see what we can do to get that Spencer voice down by next week. But chances are my Spencer voice is going to sound just like my Brent Bolthouse voice and just like my Elodie voice, etc., etc.
My funniest moment of the week was something we already talked about, but I could not pick anything else because I love this so much. And that is, of course, an unintentionally funny moment when Heidi held the pregnancy test up to the camera. That was absolutely hilarious. I might have rewound it. I definitely laughed. It was terrific.
And then she announced her pregnancy with the twins. One was
Jem.
Jordan's and Spencer's.
Jem, stop making stuff up.
There are some people in LA that are. There are some people in LA that are. There are some people in LA that are.
Jem, season 2 is a time of new beginnings. We've met new characters.
We've glimpsed Brody Jenner's hotness across the club.
We've gone to new places. So, of course, it's time for us to start a new segment.
Pratfalls! Obviously, dear listeners, pratfalls are going to be the absolutely most ridiculous Spencer moments from each episode, which will not be a difficult segment. Let's get rolling right away with my pratfalls of the week. Obviously, when Spencer's cozying up to Audrina in the club and says, you need a little massage, and starts squeezing the back of her neck, and she squirms a little bit, but she also kind of giggles. And it's just uncomfortable for all. And then, of course, the Patron margaritas scene was amazing as well, because obviously that's just unavailable at any Mexican restaurant ever. And it's very, very special.
My pratfalls of the week are the two dates and how similar they are, how he kind of says some of the same things, and how he is such a pig and he is horrible. To do that to both of them, he is ridiculous, and that's all I have to say about that pratfall.
Do you realize how many pratfalls are in our future? We may have to do a spin-off podcast of pratfalls,
Jem,
and it'll be called Pratfalls.
Jem, there are so many pratfalls, and the worst thing is, I will not say what the worst thing is, except the fact that anyone who lives in this world probably knows the ending to this story, and that is the worst and saddest part to me. But we will discuss that in detail later.
Susan, that is the greatest pratfall of all.
Indeed. Thanks for listening to Words Unspoken, the Hills podcast. Here's the scoop on all of the many ways you can contact us. We'd love to hear your feedback and ideas for the show.
You can email us at wordsunspokenpodcast@gmail.com.
You can find us on Twitter at The Hills Podcast and Instagram and Facebook at Words Unspoken Podcast.
We are even on Tumblr, which definitely did not exist when The Hills first aired. And you can also visit our website, wordsunspokenpodcast.com.
Please subscribe, rate, and review us on iTunes. We are also available on Stitcher, Google Play, and SoundCloud.
We'll talk to you next Friday.
Bye, y'all.
Bye, y'all.
You and all your pretty little friends up in the hills where the party never ends. Your schemes and your dreams when you're whole and you're broken. I'm telling all about it in my words unspoken.
So then, I'm sorry, did you just snap your fingers at me?